Hello, everybody. Welcome to Damstra Safety Insights webinar part 2, where we will carry on with our brilliant monthly report, our dashboard in our library. We'll go over what we did on the last webinar, how we did the first half of it. We'll do the second half of it. And also, after talking to a few of you in the last couple of weeks, I wanted to talk to you about upcoming training expiring. So we're going to have a look at that visual and throw that into our monthly report or our dashboard in the library as well. Again, I'm very privileged and lucky to be joined by Paul Hempsel, Head of Innovation. Paul's going to be keeping an eye on that chat or any Q&A or chat questions for me. And if you ask something that needs to be demoed in this webinar, Paul will yell out to me and say show them that. So I'm sharing my lovely lady with the insight screen. Paul, over to you if you wanted to say anything. I'll turn my camera off, and after you've had a wee say hello, we'll get into it.
Thanks, Ruth. Good morning, everybody. As Ruth mentioned, my name's Paul Hempsel and I'm the product owner for Damstra Insights. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Insights for Safety Part 2 webinar. In Part 1, Ruth demonstrated the techniques that you can use to develop your own branded monthly reporting dashboard. Part 1 is already available on the Ideagen Damstra YouTube channel, and so we'll provide a link to it in the chat if Prakash hasn't already done that. And we'll be uploading Part 2 after this session as well. So I'd just like to remind everybody that for those customers that are just getting familiar with Damstra Insights, I strongly encourage you to explore the library of almost 60 standard dashboards. These are dashboards that we've built that are ranging from the events register, performance and KPI indicators. We've got a suite of return to work dashboards in there and some WHS risk assessments, just to name a few. And the standard dashboards have been developed in conjunction with customer feedback, and they're designed to help our customers get up and running and reporting quickly from their safety system with next to no technical knowledge required. So as I mentioned in the last webinar, if there's any missing fields or entire data sources that you think need to be added, please reach out. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to make the our standard dashboards what you want to see and do what you need to be able to report out of in safety. So I'm going to hang around and help answer any questions throughout the session. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Ruth.
Thank you so much, Paul. Right. So team, this is our ACME Group monthly report, and you'll see that we have our logo here, their name, our KPIs, our visuals, and at the bottom is a register. And you may say, well, that doesn't look too much at the moment. Remember last webinar, we talked about this green eye or this view and edit button, this dashboard view mode. So if I was to click on that, here we have our monthly report. In our last webinar on June the 20th, we got this far. So we've made our first 2 lines of our monthly report. You'll see that in the edit mode, I can't shift any of these around. I get that red no-go symbol. That's because once we sorted out the sizing and grouping or the layout of these first 2 lines of our monthly report, we went to dashboard layout, locking mode, and we locked down our visuals in our monthly report. Take off the locking mode, and we've hidden what's called the pickers and the headers for our monthly report. When we've done this first 2 lines of our monthly report, we can go ahead and add visuals that we made in the visual gallery. As Paul said last webinar, you can actually make your own visuals in the visual gallery before you import them into your dashboard. If I go add a visual, add an existing visual, and the data source will be from events. So I want from the events register, and I want the event category. And there's my pie chart with the event category. What I'll do is I'll click on the 3 dots, and I'm going to copy that visual and copy that visual. This one here, I'm going to rename that events by category name. With my 3 dots, convert that to local. So why we convert that to local is because while I am doing things with this visual, I might convert it to a bar chart, I might change the colors, I might do some things with it. Every time I saved it, it would be adding to my visual gallery. So if I make it a local visual, I can change things in here and I won't be cluttering up my visual gallery. With this one, I'll put events by subject, my 3 dots. Oh, it's already converted to a local there. And this one here, I'm going to put events by site. So to change events by category to events by subject, I come down here and I want to group that by the subject. The events by site, I'm going to group that by the site. So now that we have our 3 visuals and I go to view that, this time I want the titles remaining at the top. So with those visuals, I'm going to go settings, to my header, that bit there, and my picker, that bit there. I'll leave the header but hide the picker and apply. This visual, hide, apply, and this visual, hide and apply. So that's how we could add those to our monthly report. Again, as you've seen before in previous videos, if I wanted that to be a bar chart, come up to my menu and I can change that to a bar chart. Come down to my settings, make that horizontal. And I could have the labels position inside or outside horizontal or outside diagonal. Might change that back to horizontal. Because I have the titles here with the event numbers, and I'll show those values here, I don't want that legend anymore. It's an interactive legend. I'll go to my color palette and up the top, I'm going to turn off that legend. Rearrange my visuals. This is how I'd add new visuals to my dashboard. So we talked about this timeline as well, the reported date. With the events by category, events by subject, and events by site, they all came out of the same data source, being the events register. So if I come down here to this bottom left to the reported date, I can change it to the event date or the reported date. So for instance, if I go, I want the event date, it's not liking that. I'll leave it reported date. Oh, there it is, event date. You can see that events by category name, events by subject, and events by site. I could combine those all three together and choose that to be presets previous month. And apply. So these three visuals are for the previous month, whereas these visuals, I didn't apply that date to those visuals, is for year to date. A quick check on that chat. Oh, thanks, Paul. Converting them to local fixes those visuals.
Yeah, I've just added a tip there. I've seen some customer support tickets come through where customers are having trouble saving their own custom dashboards, and when I looked into it, it was because they've been using standard visuals in their dashboard, which is great. It saves you from having to sort of create your own visuals. But just be aware that standard visuals can't be changed because they're used in other standard dashboards across the suite. So yeah, we don't give permissions for people to change. But so an easy way to solve that and allow you to start saving your dashboard again is just to convert your visual to a local. So Ruth, can you just show where that is? I know you showed it earlier, but yeah, in the ellipsis button, there's let's convert to local.
I'll just add another visual for that. Add a visual and add an existing visual. Events by severity.
And you can see the icon that shows you that it's a standard visual. Yeah.
Local visual. It's the standard visual. Convert to local. Changes that icon. And I can do things in this, such as change the colors, and it won't affect that events by severity being part of the visual gallery that belongs to the original dashboards or the original standard dashboards. Thanks, Paul.
No worries, thank you. I've just noticed the recording has stopped, so I'm just going to try and get that started again.
I don't think the recording stopped.
Ah, okay. There's a message in chat to say it did. All right, I'll leave that to Prakash to look at if you don't mind.
Good as gold. So we'll have a look at those ones. So we've got a pretty good idea, a pretty basic idea on how to do things with our dashboard. They're all interactive. And at the bottom of your monthly report, of course, you could add a new table from the, we'll go observations register, a new visual being a table, and add that to the bottom. It says no data available, of course. But so we can keep building our dashboard up and save that until it looks like our original year to date. And after it's all looking good with all the things that we want in it, all the correct dates, we could export that dashboard as a PDF, a screenshot, or the raw or visual data. We can schedule that report to run once, daily, monthly, weekly, or monthly, forever and ever. So that's a little bit about that monthly report year to date. And in our first video, we learned how to lock it. For our monthly report, we could also have an insights training expiry as well. So I'm going to show you how to build an insights training expiry visual and a dashboard. I'm going to add a dashboard. And add a dashboard and add a new visual. And I want this to come from the people trained visual. Sorry, the people trained register. And I'm going to make that a table. So I've added my safety people trained register, and there's all my people trained. I'm going to add, and I'm going to add an existing visual. From that safety people trained register. And I want to add some filters. So with that safety people trained, I'm going to register. I'm going to add a filter called, what filter do I need? Training status is a good filter. Add an existing visual from that people trained. And the filter being the course name. I'm going to add a third filter from that people trained and the level 2. Actually, what I'll do is with this visual, I'm going to get rid of this one and have my filters up the top. Doing a bit of a rejig here. Right, so there's my filters at the top. Now with these filters, or my dashboard, I'm going to change this one here to name of course and site. So Paul, I'd convert these ones to local as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now within here, this training status, if I click on the 3 dots and go to my settings, I wanted to show you something new for this one. If I go to my settings, instead of having the word search here, I could put another placeholder text there. Like this is training status. So I could put in here choose status. I could have a number of selections being single or multiple. And this is really good. Filter values on submit rather than change. So I'm going to click submit. And the submit button turns up here. And what happens with that is as I'm clicking, say, multiple choices, if I choose the first one, my whole dashboard starts rereading with what I've chosen up here. So before I choose everything that I wanted to choose in this filter, I'd choose everything and click submit, and then it would start its filtering for those things there. One here, I change that to course name, submit. Well, I'll leave that one for you. Louise has
Yep.
got a question there for you, Paul. So I've
Yep.
added all those filters. Right. Now I'm going to do my whole dashboard filter. And for my whole dashboard filter, it's this one up the top left one. So for my training, my upcoming expiring training, there's some really good filters that I can add. So I'm going to click on dashboard filters and I'm going to add a filter. Is the course active? Yes. And continue. So that was a new filter that Paul and his team added not long ago to say that we don't want those archived training courses or course names or anything that's been deleted. And I'm going to add a filter that the employee status. I just want the ones that are active. Continue. And I'm going to add a filter that my person type, just my workers. Continue and apply. So now that I've added that dashboard filter, it's adding that filters at the top as well. So my dashboard, my upcoming, I'm going to actually name that now. I'm going to call that upcoming expiring training and save that. So I've added my dashboard filters and my filtering, my manual filters. So now I'm going to add a visual, and it's an existing visual called upcoming expiring training. Grab that register and put it underneath my filters. So with my upcoming expiring trainings, and it's a standard visual, because I'm going to be tutoring with it, I'm going to change that as well. So I'm going to call it over here, convert it to a local visual. Now I'm going to start making my register. I'm going to go to my settings, and in my columns, my employee number, employee ID. I don't want my employee ID. Don't want first name, middle name, last name. I've already put person type as a filter. Employee status. I could have their position and their supervisor. Scroll along here. Don't really need the training ID. Course name would be helpful. Don't need the course number, course length. I've already filtered for active courses. My training status, training start date, end date, expiry. I'm going to take off the start date and end date, leave the expiry. I don't need the details or the marks, licenses. I could probably leave the full site in. And apply that. Again, as you know, you can change things around like the supervisor before the position, the course name, change things around there and apply. And then after we've done that, this is where we could go. Training status, we just want anything that's expired and in training required. So this is where that submit comes in handy. and demo data, I don't have anything there. My name of my course, I could choose my name of my course there, and my sites. Back to that load scheme. So with this one here, last thing I want to do with this one, I'm just going to go copy that visual. I might put it in between this time. With that visual, I'm going to go to the settings and I'm going to change that to a heat map. My rows, instead of the training ID, I want the training expiry date. By the month. And my columns is my employee full name. I'm going to shoot over to that filter. Training expiry date between now to 6 months. And I can easily make that 12 months. And there we have it, our training due to expire in July. Jeffrey's got one, Patsy's got one. And if I was to click on that, I could look at the details of those as well. So this is how we can make an upcoming expiring training. There is a dashboard there with expiring training, but if you wanted to make your own training due to expire, I could add that to my visual gallery. And with my monthly year to date, I'll add that existing visual, should be at the top, heat map training in there. So Paul, have I got something to demo here?
Yes, please. Just wanted to show filter snippets and being able to filter to a particular site. So I think there's a difference between list filters and filter snippets, and the future really is the active development going towards filter snippets. So yeah, if we can just add a filter snippet to say filter on maybe a level 2 site. What we'd like to be able to showcase is that if you use a filter snippet, you can save the current selection for the site and save your dashboard. And that way, every time you open that dashboard, it's automatically going to be filtered to that particular site.
All right. I think the most common dashboard would be the events register, Paul, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so here we go. First of all, I need to save it as events register, and I'll put monthly. And then I have all my options. So add a filter snippet. I want to put it up the top, Paul.
Yep.
And I'm going to remove that full site name. Or maybe I shouldn't have. Oops. All right. And then...
Yeah, if we just edit that. So the first thing we need to do is with a filter snippet is connect it to what data field we want to filter by. So this will be we'll go to settings first, Ruth, and just tell it to be a filter on level 2. So just pick the same source. So that'll be the events register source. Cool, and then you can choose your value column, which will be level 2. And of course, you could do this to level 1 or 3. I think we expose up to maybe level 5 or 6 in most of the sources. Yeah, there we go, perfect. And then if we just if we go to the equalizer toggles there, we can just refine that a little bit more. Let's make that a drop-down list. And we'll multiple is good. We'll keep multiple as well, and we'll have it change on submit. So that's perfect. Okay, and so now if you if we can rename that one. Excellent. So if we save this dashboard just with what we've got now, then what we can do is next thing we need to do is connect our filter snippet to all of the other visuals that are on the dashboard. That way, when we change a value there, it'll actually update all of those visuals. So if we just choose connect widget, and if we add a widget, now the cool thing is you only have to do this once, and then you can just copy and rinse and repeat for all the other ones. So yeah, we can just do one of them there, Ruth. Yeah, and tell it to filter on level 2, because that's what we're filtering by. Perfect. And then if you just choose copy, it'll replicate that for all of the visuals. So you don't have to do that for every single visual on the dashboard. And we hit apply. Cool. Now, if we pick a site in that filter, so let's choose, we'll just choose civil projects if we want, or that works. We can choose multiple sites if we'd like to. And then submit that, and then that will update and just show us the events related to those 2 sites. Now what you can do is save this this dashboard, and every time you open this dashboard, it's automatically going to be filtered to those 2 sites.
Great job, Paul.
So Louisa, I hope that answers your question there, Louisa.
Alrighty. Thumbs up from Louisa, thank you. So I'll go back to the library. The year to date, our monthly report. Has anybody got any questions on the monthly report, the training expiry dashboard, or that filter snippet that Paul talked about? Any more questions there, Paul?
I can see my dots are dancing. Can you print more than just one page as a PDF? If the dashboard goes longer than one page, it should go over to multiple pages, I believe, unless I'm telling porcupines. And I should mention that we are working on improvements to the PDF output as well. So yeah, working with our upstream vendor to get this improved. Did that download there, Ruth?
Just a bit slow, Paul. There we go.
Okay, so it's only bringing that to the one page. Okay.
It might have only been one page.
Yeah, it might have been. I'll let me look into this, Louisa, and I'll have to get back to you. Like I said, I am working with our upstream vendor to improve the PDF export because the things like the text is a bit soft in there as well, and there's improvements I want to make to the way margins work. So that's just something to be aware of that we are working on. So I guess something that we haven't spoken about, Ruth, is, and maybe it's too heavy a topic for this session, but the security and how that applies in reporting. Should we touch on that, Ruth?
Oh, absolutely, Paul. Where will I go for that? You show me.
Maybe we should pop back into safety as a first step. So one of the things that we've done with Damstra Insights is, I guess security was the first thing that we were concerned about when we were setting up reporting. So what we've done with the security insights is listen to the permissions that you give your users inside Damstra Safety. So as you go and set up your users, so if we can go to a user setup there, please, Ruth. So the first thing we look at is, I guess, user authorization. And when you set up the sites that somebody's allowed to access, so if we scroll down the bottom, so you can see that you've got user group profiles that you can apply to a user at particular site levels. So we obey that in Damstra Insights. So we call that row level security. So security is baked in at basically at the database layer. So that basically means that if you give a user access to only ABC Acme Corporate, but not ABC Construction, then their reports will automatically be filtered just to show that information. So that's handy if you've got users that only look after particular business units and they don't need to see data from across the rest of the organisation. And of course, you can do that right down to that blue level there as well, that Ruth's showcasing. So that's then combined with the user group, the profile setups. So can we just pop in and have a look at a profile setup, please, Ruth? So the group profiles inform insights what type of data you're allowed to see. So for example, here we've got a special insights node here, and this particular group is allowed to access information on workers and contractors. And if there are other people types, you can have those added there as well. But you notice there that contact details is turned off. So what that essentially means is any of those PII fields, so the personal identifier, sorry, the PPI, that's personal identifiable information. I may have got that acronym wrong, but essentially that will prevent those fields from appearing. So fields like someone's phone number, their home address, that sort of information. If this node's not turned on for that user, then they won't be able to, they'll be able to see the contractor's names, but they won't be able to see any of that private information. So that's just something to be aware of. So same with things like JSAs or plant and transport. If those items are turned off, you can still access the dashboards, but you won't be able to get any data out of the dashboards because we're preventing it from that level. So that's just something to be mindful of. So yeah, so if you're scheduling say an events report, then if you've got it to people that have got completely different security setups, then that means that they will maybe get different reports because they're only allowed to see the data that they're allowed to see. And that's really important for things like events that are sensitive. So the way we've set up sensitive event security in the system is that only the people that are an assigned sensitive user to an event can actually see the details of the event. But the event is still shown in the reporting as an aggregate count. You can't see any of the sensitive details of that, but you can see that there is an event there, so that if you're doing any of your KPI reporting or wanting to see how the number of stats for events in a given month, you can still see that they will still appear in counts, but not the details. Did
Thanks,
anyone have any questions on that? Did I explain that well, Ruth?
That was great. medical records.
I'll have to have a look at that. Paul, I believe that we had medical records set up, but let me double check on that one. I was pretty sure that there was security set up for medical records.
As in the medical register dashboard, that one there?
Yeah, I don't think our demo system has much to there, does it?
No, not in the medical register. But I think Paul means that, or he might mean in the worker register with medical records. We'll ask Paul. Worker register.
All right. Let me have a look and get back to you on that one, Paul.
Let us go. All right, then. Thank you, everybody, again. Thank you, Paul, for your masterclass and those little widgets again. I hope you've learnt a little bit more about Insights today. This will be a regular webinar on Insights. As new features are enhanced, Paul and I will jointly get together to show you these things. Keep an eye on that training calendar. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the meeting chat or the Q&A. Otherwise, thank you again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.